Welcome, everybody, to your favorite time of the week. It's Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central. That means opening break. My name is Ashes, and with me, the most handsome, I see the fresh cut, the fade, the best content creator you could ask for, my man, Hunter. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, it's crazy, man. Like the intros week after week after week, you're just giving me premium gas. I mean, this is the reason I'm still in the show. I'm just coming back for the opening gas. We'll just change the title of the show right here and now.
Opening gas instead of opening break.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the love, though, man. I'm doing good. I quite literally had like one of the craziest weekends of my entire life. Like just so slammed. But lots of good stuff. I had a crazy stream on Friday, super epic, really fun. Saturday, I DJ'd my first wedding of the year. It was the biggest wedding I've ever DJ'd. It was like,
Ooh.
I'm not kidding, Nick. We had like pyrotechnics. We had like all the add-ons, after party till midnight, like all that. Got done with that wedding. Got home about 3 a.m. Had to be at church at 6 a.m. for music stuff. Did that. Got done with the music grind at church. Went straight home and casted the Clutch Academy breast cancer like awareness research fundraising tournament. Casted that, and took yesterday. I slept until like damn near noon, bro. So now back on the grind here Tuesday. Stoked to talk about Halo because I like last week when we had the episode at the end. I completely spaced out and forgot that we were going to have that Kason tournament. So it's like, we got stuff to talk about. We got drama in the mix. We got to talk about the tournament. We got to talk how the teams are doing. So I'm excited, man. It's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't forget about the Kason tournament. I just, I'm still bitter. So it's okay. It's okay. We will talk about it today. Obviously, there's some results that we need to address because it perhaps gave us a glimpse into answering some of the questions that you and I have talked about week after week, which is, will Shopify show up on LAN? But before we get into it, you want me to go ahead and show the bracket on stream, let the people know what we're talking about,
Absolutely.
and then you can start giving us a rundown? Okay.
Absolutely. Let's take a look.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to share it on screen, what we're looking at here, and this is the bracket from the case. Keep hiding our faces, man. Can't do that. The bracket from the 50K Kason Showdown that happened this last weekend on Saturday. 4 of the top teams were there: Optic, Shopify, FaZe, Space Station. They were just missing Complexity, but it's all good. I too would not invite us to an event in our backyard.
I was gonna say where they were playing at looked really familiar. I think you and I may or may not have spent hours upon hours upon hours patrolling those halls.
Maybe they would have known like we would have had home field advantage or something. It's all good. You know what? We'll move past it. That's the last thing I'll say about it, I promise. Kason 50K Showdown, though, great for the community. It's a really awesome opportunity for us to get a glimpse before the actual major on how these top teams are stacking up on LAN. And why don't you go ahead and start running down some of these matches for us?
Yeah, so one of the things that really stood out to me, Nick, about this tournament, we'll go match by match. Obviously, there's not that many to talk about, but it started with the first match, which was Space Station versus Rebellion. And it dawned on me during these first 2 winners matches that we're back in an era where the talent is a lot closer than I think people realized individually between these players. They're all insane.
Yeah.
But now what it's coming down to is the way teams match up against each other. Like I noticed like night and day differences in the way certain teams played against each other. For example, Space Station, like I think Rebellion is just a hard counter to Space Station right now. Like they literally can't break through there. However, on the other side of things, Space Station look like they can beat anybody else. And that includes Optic, because Space Station dismantles FaZe, right? In the first elimination round, sadly FaZe exits 4th in their own event, whatever.
Only 2 maps, no big deal though.
Exactly.
We would have gotten more than 2. Okay, I'm done. I promise I'm done.
Yeah, but that's to my other point. So the first match I actually want to talk about was FaZe versus Optic. And when I talk about matchups and the way these teams are going to counter each other on LAN, like I'm not kidding, Nick, and anybody who watched the tournament will agree with me. FaZe was like 3 plays away from 3-0ing Optic in that series. I know it's a 3-1, but literally they were up all 3 of the first 3 games and like lost at basically at the 99-yard line of 2 out of those 3 games. They end up being down 2-1 in a series that literally, in my opinion, I was like, dude, they should have swept Optic. They were in the when you're in the driver's seat, I'm talking like they have rockets, they have the lead. the clock is dwindling, and somehow like someone makes a god player or legend does legend things, like just like players stepping up and like changing it. But it was like, I was like, dang, I actually came away from the FaZe invitation, Kayson's invitational, like even more pumped on FaZe than I was going in. Just of like, dude, like they really showed that at least like against Optic, like I said, that might be a good matchup for them. Somehow the match against Optic was a better matchup for them than the matchup against Space Station, which is where it gets crazy. Because like I said, I think Space Station, obviously Space Station can beat FaZe. They get beaten by Rebellion. I potentially see Optic. I think Optic has beaten Space Station a good amount already this season, but I also think FaZe now can beat Optic. So it's like this whole crazy, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy how teams match up like that.
Yeah, it's this weird like overlap of like this guy can beat this guy, but that guy can beat this guy, but that guy can beat that guy. So then who's really the best?
I mean? Yeah, and Shopify is obviously the best. I will say like they're number one. But even that, Nick, like even saying they're the best right now, they beat Optic 4-3 in the grand finals, but they lost to Optic 3-2 in the winners finals. And it's actually insane. I was watching a Shyway stream recently. He was casting over Shopify Optic scrim from last week. Okay. And they tied the scrim, I think 6-6 or 7-7. And at that moment in time, they were like overall series score, including their scrims, including them matching each other in the opens. They were like tied 30 games to 30 games.
Wow.
Going into this tournament. And then they tied in games in this tournament. They were 6-6 against each other at this event. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, Shopify, like don't get me wrong, the 3-peat, they have number one seed, they're going in, but they have literally, that's about as close as it can get between two teams.
Yeah, that just goes to show, like we've talked about it time and time again, the story of this season right now is Optic and Shopify. Everyone gave Optic all the credit during the Roster Mania. Shopify comes in and goes, hey, look, like we put together a killer team as well. Look what we can do. And they're showing it. They play with like this really fast pace, this kind of ruthless aggression. Like you get somebody one shot, you're like, okay, that guy's going to back down from the fight. I need to go divert my attention. And then all of a sudden you get reach out and shot in the back and Frosty kills you. And it's like, well, okay, now I got to worry about that factor. There's a little bit of unpredictability, like the plays you think they might make or might not make, they end up making. So they're a hard team to read, and I think that is where they're going to catch a lot of teams off guard. I don't think they're ever going to have a problem with a Space Station. I don't think they're ever going to have a real problem with FaZe. And like we were talking about, I think it's really just Optic does match up well against them, assuming that they can control the pace. If you let Shopify control the pace of the game, it's going to be a really hard game to win. And I keep looking over here because I have a monitor with the data hive for the matches of the tournament, and just kind of going through. You talked about FaZe versus Optic, man. Falcated was popping off. 91 kills, 29k damage in the series, highest by 3k damage out of everybody in the series. Like that's nuts. That's Falcated.
Here's another thing, dude. So if you look at the tournament kill death ratios, the leaderboard, the KD, the top 10 KDs for the tournament. Mm-hmm. Shopify has the top 3 spots, which is broken. They have 1, 2, and 3. FaZe then have 2 players in the top 10. Space Station have 2 players in the top 10. Optic only had 1 player in the top 10 KDs for that event.
Interesting. Yeah. So what does that tell you? Does that mean Optic is just less worried about slays and much more efficient?
I think they're really efficient because of how fast they are on the map. So like naturally they end up finding themselves in situations where they're ready to get objective going or whatever when they get their slays, because they're all so quick on the map as they're making moves.
Yeah.
More than that, I think it, like, to me, it says that Rebellion, like, they have an insane amount of talent, which we've all known going in, but it makes me feel like they might be able to even get better. Like if they're like basically raw dogging you right now on slays and skill, and they still are a new team, everybody's going to be getting better as the year goes on. But I think the Shopify team is going to, I mean, having a pre-land like this before a major, especially for the young cats who haven't won a tournament yet, all that does is build them the confidence to say, hey, like, we can win. We can get first on land. Like, we can beat Optic in a tournament with big money on the line with, tens of thousands of people watching. Like, it only bodes well for that team moving forward and their confidence in how they're going to build.
Very true. Though I am going to sound like a hater here, and I'm going to put a little caveat on that, a little asterisk, okay?
Please.
The this LAN win, 50K, fantastic prize pool, and I'm glad that this happened for the Halo community. But you're still missing some teams. Not even like talking about us. You're still there's contenders that you're missing. And don't get me wrong, Shopify is the top dog right now.
Yeah.
But you can't ever count out ignoring us. You can't ever count out like a Cloud9, right? Like they're clearly a sleeper team that is prone to upset teams when they're underestimated. You can't count out the duration of a full major where you're having to be out there doing your thing 3 days. Like by the time Sunday comes around, like you're running on passion and energy drinks. You're not running on
PSM. We've seen it with them multiple times where it's like they start off slowish, but as the weekend goes along, they start cooking. You know, they end up getting top 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is something to be said about
and the crowd.
How you respond to that pressure, how you respond to. I'm so glad you brought it up, like the fatigue of events. And like that was one thing for me as I got older competing and stuff. Like that was one of the things that made me start realizing, like, yeah, like you're not a spring chicken anymore. Was I started getting like hot, like at these events, it would be Friday night, and I'm already like, I got to get to bed. I'm worn out. You know what I mean? When I was younger, it's like you play all day Friday, you stay up hanging out with your friends all night Friday night, you go show up, and then somehow power through Saturday on 5-hour energy drinks and Hot Pockets. You know, it's just not the case anymore. You know what I mean? Got to be able to like maintain the level. But I wanted to ask you a question about. I'm just going through these matchups here at face value. What is it about this Rebellion team that is such a hard counter to Space Station? Because when we look at Space Station, those are all-time greats. All 4 of them, all-time greats, champions, world champions. A team that we expect a lot out of in this season. So what is it about this Rebellion team that keeps dominating them?
Yeah, I think my answer to that is just going to be pacing. I think Shopify plays at a pacing that is really fast, really aggressive, and it makes it a little bit difficult to predict, like I was talking about earlier. Space Station is, 3 IGLs and Stellar, so you've got a mix of playstyles. They're still trying to figure that out. You've got a lot of them being a little bit slower paced. It wasn't Eco being the speed demon on the championship, world championship Space Station team last year. It was the Bound, it was the Stellar, it was the Legend. So you don't have any of those really fast players other than Stellar, maybe Lucid when he's feeling himself. I don't see them being able to contend speed-wise. And then you come down to just, winning gunfights 1v1. Like, don't get me wrong, Space Station are phenomenal players. They're all world-class, world champion level players of their own. But Rebellion is playing with this just dominant confidence that when you have that confidence going into a gunfight, it doesn't matter how many world championships are on the roster. You're so convinced that you're going to win it that you're already looking at the next fight by the time your 5th bullet leaves your gun, right? Like you put the shot out and you're like, okay, what's next? Oh, he didn't die. Hold on, tap. Okay, now what was I looking at? Like there is just a pacing with Rebellion that I think slower calculated teams like Space Station are going to struggle to match up against.
So tell me this, like you're a unbelievably battle tested coach. You've seen teams, you've built championship rosters. Like let's say alternate universe, Nick, you're coaching Space Station, or that roster's with complexity. I'm cool with either way, however you want this fantasy to play out. What are you doing to counter that then? Like, walk me through what your thought process would be on taking what you already have in Space Station without making a roster change and making it a roster that can contend against this Rebellion team. How do you shut them down?
I mean, I think I want to figure out the way to word this without like giving free advice, right? Screw it, whatever. I think that the way that they counter that is it's always about controlling the pace, right? And if Shopify is going to keep just being hyper aggressive, then you have to do things that are, Halo players call them like ratty plays that will catch them off guard and throw the pace back in your favor. Like you basically want to knock them off their game a step, like make them kind of stumble for a second. Like if they're running at you on one side of the map, don't let them know where you are because they're going to be predicting it, right? They're going to be like, oh, they spawn here. I'm going to run them from here. We're going to pinch them from here. But if you do something unpredictable, if you're in a spot they don't expect, if you're doing a thing that they're not aiming for, they're not looking at, then that's where you can catch them off guard. That's where you can make them stumble. And then that's where you can start staggering out those spawns because they don't really stop. Like if you ever watch Shopify play right now, it's a lot of go, 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 go. It's almost the antithesis of like the Ryan Noob system where it's like, okay, we want to set up, we want to push, we want to make our hit. It's calculated and it's like coordinated. Shopify, it's like somebody's going to make a play and they're good enough. Everyone else on the map is good enough to know that that play is the right play, and how do we help it from wherever we are.
Yeah.
So if you make that person who's trying to make the play be the odd man out and look dumb, then you can get yourself a footing into the game and then just team fire the rest of them. But like if you try to just like match their pace, 1v1 them, make those chows and try to win it that way, unless, Shopify woke up with, COVID that morning, like you're not going to get away with that.
Yeah, it is like mind blowing to me that this Rebellion team was the quote unquote leftovers. Like there has not been a game that Royal 2 or Frosty have competed in where they weren't two of the best players in the entire game. Like for as far back as I can, you could take me back to Halo Reach, Royal 2, like in freaking insane, dude, like doing things that you had never seen a human being do before. And then obviously Frosty is still in his prime. Like he's still in his mid 20s or something like that. It's like he's been around a long time because he started young, you know what I mean? But he's still like very much in the mix. And so you combine that with two, like I will die on this hill, the best two up and coming talents that came out of this game, Halo Infinite, Cycle and Last Shot, in my opinion. I've been saying it since I've seen them. And they just have a team that's got like unlimited energy, unlimited pace, like you mentioned. Yeah. It's funny watching them play. Reminds me a ton of you weren't around at the time, but it was Splice and Halo 5. It was actually Eco and Stellar's team. Like that was the blueprint. Like I remember they did a listen-in during one of the Worlds events, and you literally hear Eco say, "Guys, we're standing still a little bit too much. Let's just start flying some more. Just fly, guys. Just fly." It's like, bro, you're in like a championship match, and that was their mindset. Like we're just gonna go at everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's interesting seeing Eco now being on the receiving end of that and them having to try to make adjustments, because like this Space Station roster on paper is not lacking for talent.
No.
You know what I mean? They're not lacking for brains and like how to win. It just seems like this Rebellion matchup is a nightmare for them. Now I want to move into so that's the first match of the tournament was Rebellion Space Station. Optic FaZe, like I said, this match, Nick, was a match where I'm not kidding. Like it felt like FaZe choked, as much as that sucks to hear. But it's also like they could have 3-0'd Optic. What is it about that matchup that you think benefits FaZe? Like how are they able to keep up with a roster that on paper everyone thought was just going to run the table with everybody?
Well, I think FaZe is still finding themselves, right? And I think they don't have a coach as of right now, as far as I'm aware.
Tusk.
Is it Tusk?
Coaching him at the event.
Okay. Good for
I saw
him.
a lot of memes coming out of that because it was like camera time. It was like Tusk on one side and Lunchbox on the other side.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they have if Tusk is coaching them, that's good, but it's recent, right? Like Tusk only got dropped 2 weeks ago by Optic, so it's like the time hasn't been there yet. They've all kind of been like on their own in terms of how they develop as a team, and obviously, again, world championship caliber players on that team. Plus, you have Falcated, who is just always doing tons of damage. You have Suppressed, who's always going to be a playmaker. But if you don't have, in my eyes, you don't have a set leader. Like you don't have that you don't have that Eco, the Snakebite, the whoever, the Lucid. So you don't have that like one voice that's like, hey, we're going to go in this direction as a team. We're going to work towards these objectives as a team. We're going to do this as a team. This is how our team play style is going to be. They don't really have that identity. It's just like if they can hit that flow state and hit their shots, then they're going to show up and be a strong FaZe team. And we've seen that 1 week where they got top 4, top 3 in the last in the qualifier or whatever. But
they were kind of hanging around that top 4 region the entire time. I think they might have got top 6 once or whatever.
Yeah,
I think they were in that 4th spot.
And that just goes to show, like, they're a really strong team. Don't get me wrong. It's just they're not going to be able to really contend and close out these games against Optic or against Shopify until they're able to really identify, like, here's how our play style and here's how we can implement our play style to counter whoever's play style.
Here's a fun question that just like popped in my head. Like,
okay,
trade one player from FaZe and one player from Space Station and make both those rosters better, in your opinion.
Interesting,
because you mentioned like FaZe is lacking in leadership, and that just made me think that like Space Station almost has too much leadership, so needs some more speed or whatever. But like, if you could make a trade there, what do you think would benefit both teams?
Well, I mean, obviously, Lucid and Trippy have a long history together. I mean, Lucid, Trippy, and Penguin is, 3/4 of the Silver Surfers from last season. So,
Hmm.
I mean, on paper, that would be my first, just because they have the most chemistry already.
So you'd send
And you,
Suppress to Space Station and bring Lucid. Is
yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah, because that gives Space Station another person who can just like get mixy in the fight with Stellar. Where I don't see anyone else on the current phase roster doing that. Like Falcated does a ton of damage, but he's not a last shot or a cycle or a suppressed where he's like movement king, getting in the mix, like doing 1.5 people's worth of damage. Like he is in a spot, he's holding that spot down, and you can rely on him to hold that spot down, and he's got your cross kind of thing. So yeah, I think that would be my trade. That being said, I think Snakebite like also could make that work if like there's for some reason like Lucid and Trippy didn't want to team together this year, or whatever. Like I could see Snakebite coming in and making that work as well. But in that, if I brought Snakebite over, I might swap him for like a Penguin.
Yeah, interesting. My knee jerk reaction was Eco for Suppressed.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel
Why is
like having Eco change of scenery, with some of his friends, but people he hasn't necessarily teamed with. I feel like Eco, Penguin, Trippy, and Falcated is that just seems deadly to me. You know where the leadership is going to come from.
Yeah.
But then you have Trippy, and like he's basically been playing main Slayer ever since he joined FaZe. You know what I mean? And then on the other side, you get some speed for Space Station with Suppressed. You know what I mean? You get a little bit more pace. You get someone who's another psycho who's just down to chow everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that would be the trade that I think. But I honestly think that your initial one of Lucid for Suppressed was really good too. I just wonder if like those three, did they max out? You know what I mean? Like, would they be stoked?
Yeah.
Like, would they even have a honeymoon period at that point? You know what I mean? Or would it just be like, oh shoot, here we go again? The GTA meme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'm looking at the two rosters because they played each other. And the other question I have is like, even if you make any of those changes, do either of those new rosters beat Shopify or Optic?
I think as it stands, they both put up a fight against Optic. I'm not going to say they are going to beat them every time. Maybe 60-40 Optic on that, but I still think Rebellion is a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
I think Rebellion is a buzzsaw. I think it moves you closer, but at the end of the day, I think those teams are going to move closer as the season goes along regardless. I think when you go in the trenches, when you're on land together, this, Nick, you either go one or two directions. You either improve and grow closer together, or you don't. And I think for these teams, they're pretty locked in for long haul. I expect all four of these teams to improve as the season goes on. It's just how much will they improve? Like, is Shopify going to stay this far ahead? Well, I mean, how can you even say ahead? They're tied with Optic technically, when it comes to like numbers. But who's going to be able to improve the fastest as the year goes on?
Well, the crazy thing too is, going to the winners final match of Optic versus Rebellion. I'm going to go ahead and show the data hive real quick.
Please.
Optic reverse swept them.
They did, yeah.
So like Shopify came out hot, and then it like the live fire King of the Hill, like Optic squeaks that one out. They actually don't have they have less points than Rebellion does in the oddball, but
they won the live fire King of the Hill. They won off of a singular legend play. By the way, he was top tower by himself. All of his teammates dead. Repulse is all he had, and he was just yeeting people off the map, buying time until his teammates spawned and came back. Like it was literally, if he dies on top tower, they lose that game. So it quite literally was the 3-0 was there, and then from there, like backbreaker, you said in the streets. Yeah. Somehow they win that with less time, and then the Solitude was not close, bro. The Solitude Slayer game 5 was just, I think it was like 20-4 to start that game, not capping at all. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
yeah. I just I think Optic has an answer, but it requires them. Optic has the tools to rely on clutch factor, right? Like every player on Optic has a clutch factor to them. Like you're talking about Legends play top tower. Bound can do the same thing. Renegade, like we've seen him just do crazy, unfathomable things with a sniper rifle, for example. And Formal as well. Like Formal has his moments where it's just like, oh, Formal's in a 1v3. Formal kills 3. Like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But that isn't teamwork. That isn't a reliable, consistent way to win the game, relying on that clutch factor. And I think that's right now where we see Shopify, even if they're tied overall in terms of map count, like that's why we see Shopify edging out when it matters, like the grand finals, which, that's a whole nother thing that we can talk about and debate about a little bit. But Shopify's playstyle is more consistent for success, whereas I think Optics relies a little bit more on that clutch factor.
100%. I think also too, you got to wonder, Nick, like maybe this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Maybe Optic weren't expecting to be tested like this. Maybe they put the squad together and we're just like really expecting to dominate. Like, I got to imagine that it's been a little bit of a shell shock how not dominant they've been. Like, don't get me wrong, they're an incredible team, all-time roster put together, all-time talent, like one of the best rosters we have ever seen assembled in all of Halo history. I'm not taking that away from them, but I also don't think anybody was expecting them to be going in Arlington second seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. I mean, it could come down to something as small as like maybe if they were not 30 minutes and an hour late to the 2 times we scrimmed them, like that would have made. No, I'm just kidding. They were, well, but I'm kidding about that making a difference.
When it's like that close of a dividing line, though, like I said, tied in games, yeah, you factor in everything. Like when it's when you lose a game 50-49, you go back to, oh my gosh, that one freaking dumb death I had, bro, that one ego challenge. You know what I mean? So it's like, dang, guys, that one scrim we were late to, we could have probably had enough practice to win another game.
Literally, like if we just been there an hour, like on time. I just, this is going to be an interesting matchup, and it's going to be the other side of what I'm interested in about this storyline is I feel like over the season, there's going to be another team, because it's always easier for the teams chasing the top dogs to catch up, right? Like you have a lot to research, you have a lot to look at. And when you are those top dogs, it's harder to stay a top dog. Like speaking from experience from the Gears of War days, like for us, it was much more challenging to stay on top than it was for other teams to try to catch up to us. And that's where our ability to innovate and create new things and new strategies came into play. But with Halo, we talked about this last episode, everybody knows how to play Halo at this point. We're in season 4. Like this is, everyone knows these maps like the back of their hand. Everybody knows how to play the game. Everybody knows what the most efficient routes are, where all the G slides are, where, how to get the weapons, how to manipulate the, everything. So the teams catching up, who's going to be like the next one to interrupt this little love story between Optic and Shopify? Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I obviously think I'm going to just move past SSG and FaZe for the moment, because we're talking about, more underdogs. And I feel like we talk a lot about Space Station and FaZe, and that we talk a lot about their potential. Obviously I'm going to get my bias out of the way. I think we have potential to be in the mix. Like it wouldn't shock me if we got top 4 at an event this year, but it also wouldn't shock me if we fell flat on our face. Like, so biases aside, I would love to see us get mixy in that. But I look at TSM, dude. Like there's something about those guys on Landman and Talik and Druk and Soul Snipe. I mean, Cherished. They just have a swagger to them where like they believe that they delusionally believe that they are the hottest thing since sliced bread on the sticks. And like on LAN, that benefits you. Like on LAN in a tournament under pressure, like you get into that pib and you just believe, I just believe I'm better than this guy. I'm just going to 5 him. You know what I mean? Like, and I've just seen, when it was the pure roster, we saw them. Most people would say they overperformed based on what folks were expecting from them last season. Right. So I still think that they have more to show. And I think that they're a little like, I could see them being a little bitter they're not part of the conversation right now. I could see them being a little bitter they weren't invited to the Kason showdown. I could see them being a little bitter that, there hasn't been more TSM hype. They brought a new partner team into the mix. You know what I mean? So that's really the team I'm looking at. I want to throw Luminosity some love, but also they're just so young, dude. Like they're so fresh. They're so fresh. I have no idea what to expect from that roster on paper at LAN, but like that's an exciting thing as well. Like I don't expect bad things from them. I just have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, and I think that youthfulness of Luminosity can often lead to potential issues, right? Like you have a lot of up and coming players. They've kind of come together as like, I don't know a polite way to put it. Almost like the Devil's rejects, right? Like they've just nobody was talking about them. They came together, formed this roster, hit this honeymoon phase hype of like, hey, look, we're a contender, and then they've shown that, I would say past the honeymoon phase that they're still a contender. I mean,
Yeah,
even as recently as yesterday, they 4-2 TSM and scrims, which is, it's scrims, but this, you're hyping TSM and Luminosity's here like, okay, well, we doubled their maps in a scrim.
And that's 4-2 means that scrim got chalked early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
what I was going to say is I was tuning into Avicii's stream, Avuchi stream. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I was tuning into his stream, which shout out to him for actually streaming and putting out content. They were scrimming. He had his voice on, and they were scrimming phase. They were up 2-0 in an Aqua Bomb. There was a minute left. The map ended 3-2 phase.
No, bro.
Minute and a half left. Sorry, it was a minute and a half left. Map ended 3-2 phase.
So FaZe just played perfect Halo.
So FaZe played perfect Halo and ended that map. I think it was they were up 2-0. Maybe they're up only 1-0. But either way, it was 3-1 FaZe, 3-2 FaZe. FaZe won. They got 3 bomb caps in a minute and a half, which is unreal. They played perfect Halo, but what I heard almost more concerning than choking that map, which like it's a scrim, they took their foot off the gas. That's lack of experience or whatever. Everybody's done that before. I heard at least from Avicii's only audio that I could hear, an argument within the team. And I don't, I'm not going to speculate too deep into the argument, but it sounded like blame went on him because he defended himself saying, no, I went for a bomb plant. They were 3 dead. Of course I'm going to go for a bomb plant. And then that spiraled into like loading into the next map. I think it was a recharge. Avicii's going, guys, come on, calm down. We're getting a little too hot. Let's calm down. It's, it's Friday. We're going into the weekend. This is good, which like props to him, young gun, trying to recorrect the team. But like, awesome. Does that spell problems for Luminosity when things get tough?
Well, I think when you're a young team and you're a new team, you still gotta work out those kinks. Sometimes you gotta go to blows. But as long as folks understand, like, hey, we're going to blows in order to be the best team we can be, and it's not about me being right or wrong. Like, I think there's a difference there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to argue through something until like a solution is found. Like, people don't realize this because it was pre like the streaming era, all that. Like, I've been around for as long as there's been Halo esports. Roy and Lunch, these are like household names, beloved names, like names that are like mythical folks in the Halo scene. Like, they love them. Dude, behind the scenes, those two were screaming at each other like non-stop, ripping each other to pieces, like over the plays they made. But they had the understanding, like, A, we're never not going to be teaming together. We're freaking twins. And like, B, like, I know how good my brother can be, and I know he can make a better play than that. So yeah, I'm going to freaking cook his ass for it. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
So but like when you have that understanding of like, there's no threat of us breaking up. So like, obviously it might not be the best approach. Maybe there's other approaches, but different people have different approaches. And you got to understand that, like, maybe to get through to that guy, I do have to scream at him. Like, maybe being nice isn't going to work necessarily, but we have the understanding no matter what, like, no matter how bad the discussion or argument might get, like, we're not breaking up. We're just trying to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got to do it in a hurry. And like with Luminosity, like Piggy, I already said this before, in my opinion, one of the best talents that has come up in this game. Piggy is an amazing player. I think you could put him on a top 4 roster and he would be just fine. He was like a free agent like a week before the Luminosity signing, like right before they played their first event and got top 6. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like they're literally as fresh as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, they are they're figuring things out, that's for sure. And they look good. I mean, they've got the gun skills, they've got the talent. It's just a matter of blending it all together, and it seems like they're doing a good job of doing that. I know we've kind of moved on to other teams, but we should probably address the controversy of the grand finals of the Kason tournament. Mm-hmm. For those of you who aren't aware, Optic came from winner's side, winning 3-2 over Shopify Rebellion. Rebellion made their lower bracket run, showed up in the grand finals, and won the grand finals 4-3. And then there were some tweets that went out about...
Some tweets that have since been deleted.
Oh, have they?
Yes.
Interesting. See, I didn't know they were deleted. Yeah. I just saw the tweets when they were out talking about it's basically I'm gonna paraphrase, but basically that it's ridiculous that they came from winners. Optic came from winner's side with no advantage, no bracket reset, no one map advantage, no continuation. Just hey, it's a fresh series. Welcome to the grand finals, best of 7. Go. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, my thoughts on it are, hey, I just got second again. I gotta go find something else to complain about. I don't.
I love that answer.
I don't know, man. Like the end of the day, it was a showcase. Like it was it was meant to be in fun. Like yeah, there was some good money on the line, but it was meant to be like, hey, like let's put on a show for the Halo community. Let's give them a little pre-excitement before Arlington. Let's build up some of these storylines, and I think to that they succeeded. You know what I mean? Like I love the interview with the players. They show a little bit more of their personality and how they feel about each other and stuff. But for me, it's like, I mean, they gave you a best of 7. You had a bajillion chances to win that series. If you're Optic, like just win it, or like you knew the format going in. Why like complain about the format before? Like complain about the format like before the tournament starts, not after you just got second again. You know what I mean? So it doesn't bother me, dude. I really don't care. I think those two teams are so tightly matched right now. Like Arlington is going to be like a nuclear bomb is going to go off in that venue, man. There's like so much tension and like pressure mounting between those two teams. Like they hate losing to each other. They hate playing each other. They barely want to scrim each other. I think they've only scrimmed each other once. So it's like, I think that Arlington is going to be the place where it's settled, not here at a FaZe showdown. So I don't really think the format matters all that much. I was more upset that it wasn't a, round robin pool, because I would have loved to see everyone play everyone. Like we didn't get to see PlayStation play Optic. Like that's a bummer to me. You know what I mean? I was really hoping to see that matchup. We didn't get that.
Yeah, I definitely think the bracket or the style and format could have been better. Like, yeah, sure, it was a one-day tournament, but you can get a lot of matches done in one day. Mm-hmm. I do think that I agree with what you said, right? Like, according to Best Man, I think I saw him say they were notified like week of, like well before the matches started, that there was what the format was, no winner's advantage. So if you know the format and you don't say anything up until the point that you've lost, like now you just sound like a whiny bitch. I'm sorry, but like like you can't, like if they were like, hey, won the winners finals, excited to go to the grand finals, sucks we don't have a one map advantage, or sucks that it's not whatever, then like okay, then I can get it when you also say something after you lose, and it's like, okay, that's a consistent theme. But it's like, I don't think any of them would have said anything if they won that series, if they hadn't choked that Slayer. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think you just summed up like the last week in Halo, which is whiny B words. Like, because we got a whole other one we're going to talk about in a bit, right? Like another whiny one that was, all that drama. But yeah, dude, I think that the timing, like, and that's why I think the tweets got deleted, right? When the heat of the moment, like sometimes you just gotta be like, yo, take my phone, bro. Like take this. I've literally I've done that to my teammates. Yo, someone take my phone. I'm about to say something so stupid and reckless right now. Someone take my phone. Like let me cool off. And then when I'm feeling much more reasonable, I'll reevaluate the things I was going to say, right? Because in the heat of the moment, like, dude, I've seen people say and do, and myself included, some just out of pocket stuff, especially immediately after a loss. So it would have been better for them to just kind of chill for a moment.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And like, that's me calling them whiny B words is not like a dig at them. It's just like, you're acting like a whiny B word, man. Like it's you, and we've all been there before. Like that's not, it's just like, you are the pillars of the community, right? Like you are Optic Gaming. You are the top dogs, even if you can't win. Like you need to act as such and not like constantly push off blame. Also as a competitor, right? Like you lost that series. You lost a very fair best of 7. Sure. Did you earn potentially, or should you have earned an advantage because you came through winner side? Absolutely. Right. Legend clutched up top tower so you can get a one map advantage in the grand finals. Yeah. I'm all for it. But that wasn't the structure. It's a best of 7 and you lost. Like the only people that you can be mad at is yourselves, not the tournament organizers, not Kason, not anyone else. You lost. Man up. That's it.
Dude, but one of the things that I've really started to notice, and all of these little things that you're talking about are factoring into it, is I've seen a shift in perception in the chats, in the Twitch chat, in the YouTube chat. So and you know, I know you're obviously in the mix a lot more. You've been in these tournaments, so you don't get to watch as much and see as much of this as I have. But in my personal opinion, like Optic has kind of become or are becoming a bit of the bad guys, where it's like folks feel like, oh, you thought you were just going to put together a super team and act like you're so much better than everybody else and blah blah blah, and look at this brand new hot team, up and coming team, putting in that work on you. You know what I mean? Like I've seen a lot of that kind of like Shopify Rebellion gaining fans just like every stream, every event, every tournament, where it's like, because they just came out and were like, they're just homies playing insane Halo, really talented. They got fun personalities, like tune in the Last Shot stream. It's always a good time, always vibing. And then you have Optic, where it's like they're so stoic, it's so serious that there's like, you can like taste the pressure that's on them every time they stream a scrim or every time they're in a tournament. It's like the burden of expectation on them has like kind of turned them into like kind of buzzkills. You know what I mean? Like the vibe is not as fun as it is on like a Shopify.
No, you pointing that out is perfect, because I think that is definitely a trend I'm seeing as well. Like in these online tournaments, you know, we haven't been in far into the Sundays, so I'm getting to watch the grand finals, and I'm seeing the green wall is less loud than it used to be, and it's exactly how you said. When you put that much pressure, when you act like, hey, we're building the team, you know, and then you have a really good underdog story coming up with Cycle and Last Shot and the young guns and the next gen talent and players like Frosty and Royal 2, who people have, you know, loved for a long time. Like, and they're not being jerks, right? Like, yeah, they're really good, and yeah, they have like a arrogance in their play style, but like they're not saying like, oh yeah, like we're the best team, like we are the team that won Roster Mania. They're just coming out like, all right, we're gonna play Halo, and thanks for tuning in and appreciate the sub. Welcome to the Snowmen, and you know, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a much different vibe, exactly like you said, and I think that's paying off for them in dividends.
Yeah, and like, dude, mentioning the stream side is so huge, Nick. Like, I have like preached for so long to these pros, especially the young ones, like, hey guys, like I know you got your salary, you're so pumped. It's like this first situation where you're making money playing Halo, but like you have an opportunity to build your own brand, like maximize that window right now, you know. And so many folks like put the streaming thing on the side, but it's like, you watch Last Shot, how much his stream has grown, you know. Cycle, I see streaming more regularly, and then obviously Royal 2 still does the degenerate all night RuneScape, like into Halo, back into RuneScape, and then Frosty, who's just there playing matchmaking by himself in the evenings with the stream on, hanging out, vibing with people. Like, they have that team where not only are they all competing at the highest level, but they're also like, you know, making some content, and it doesn't have to be all serious. They're not pressured to do it. They're just doing it because they want to. Like, they have just their stock from last season to this season turnover has got to be one of the craziest changes in team stock from like one season to the next.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I again, I'm going to just keep agreeing with everything you're saying, because like that is also something I try to tell players often, whether they're one of mine or somebody I'm talking to, is like, bro, the salary and you being at the top of your game isn't going to last forever. Like, you need to do things to further yourself. And I know not every player wants to be a YouTuber, not every player wants to be a streamer, but you got to find ways to make the most out of the opportunity that you're given because of your talent, and really give yourself a pathway to long-term success. And, you know, those guys are doing a good job of doing that. So props to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Massive props to them. Yeah, FaZe tournament, I really enjoyed it. I'm sure you would have enjoyed it if you would have watched it, but like you said, you were a little salty there. There's a little.
I had a day with the wife. That was more important.
Where'd you guys go?
Just ran errands and hung out together and went to the mall and teenager stuff.
I freaking love that, dude. It's a lot harder for me to pull that off with the kiddos and stuff. So
yeah, right.
We have to like plan those things where it's like, let's just like do nothing. Let's just go vibe. Let's just hang, you know. But Nick, there was some other Halo news, some other Halo drama this week. If you want to catch some folks up with what's been going down, just, oh my gosh, Halo might be back because of the drama alone.
Yeah, this one is crazy to me because my Twitter notifications are still like, every time I refresh, there's more people.
You went viral. You went viral.
I don't get why.
You went viral on this. You're maximizing. Go ahead.
So, an account that I honestly don't follow tweeted out about Illy, the former COD pro, 1v1ing Shock, the former Halo competitor. I don't know if he ever placed pro in Halo, former Gears pro, I can say, where they did a 1v1 live fire, and Shock was just, running Illy's pockets.
And 1v1 for $3,000, by the way.
Yeah, which I don't know how that came about, because
what?
I don't think Shock has $3,000, or even if it's 1,500 that he's putting in, but it is what it is. Anyways, so they are 1v1ing, and Shock is just running Illy's pockets, and Illy is just, everything that you would not want in a teammate he is saying. He is just complaining about the game. He's talking trash about Halo as a game, Halo as a community. I'm going to quote him and say that Halo is for shit stains, is what he said, and that he was going to play a real man's game. He never specified what game. I'm assuming he meant COD. And I saw that video and I'm watching it in kind of disbelief. I know that Illy has his issues, whatever they may be. He needs to, I hope he gets the help he needs. But it's just crazy to see him 1v1ing somebody on Halo who's no disrespect to Shock, he's not a top pro, and raging this hard and talking so much trash about the community and the game and the players who play it, when bro, one of the top players in our game is somebody that you probably idolized, Formal.
Mm-hmm.
We had one of our top pros, our MVP last season, go 1v1 you in your own game and run your pockets.
Oh.
And so that's the part that I don't get.
That to me is what makes it so bad. It's okay, he came over to Halo and got ran by a Halo pro, but and said some stuff he shouldn't have said. Whatever, it would have been in the news cycle, but it wouldn't have been as potent were it not for the fact that we just watched a Halo pro run your ass in Call of Duty, not even a month ago or however long ago it's been. It's not been that long, you know what I mean? It's still fresh on everyone's mind. It was one of those things where I was hey, yo, could Legend be a COD pro? But now it's just nah, Illy's just trash at everything he plays, unfortunately, at this point in time. Because if you're getting ran, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say the funniest part, too, was somebody in my replies, and I'm never going to find it because it's just my notifications are torched. But somebody said, it's just 1v1s. Anybody can win a 1v1. And somebody else who has taken it upon themselves to go to war with all the Illy stands said everyone except Illy, apparently. And I read that and I lost it, because he really is. He's 0-2 against Halo players on 2 different games. That's
different games.
That's bad.
And that's down bad. At least $3,000 that we know of. That's all the money we know is what he lost in Halo. We don't know what he lost in Call of Duty to Legend in that 1v1 matchup. You know what I mean? So
assuming he paid up, because he was talking about not paying up, how he's scum, how he loves himself for being scummy.
Shock did update and say he was paid. So shout out to Illy for actually paying for it. But I don't know, man. I was thinking about this topic from the moment it happened. I was we're going to talk about this on the show. I already know. And I was my mind went to, okay, do I want to be the professional, politically correct version of myself in this? Or do I want to just say it as I see it?
It's tough.
I'm going back and forth in my head right now as we speak. That kid is so soft, bro. That dude is a loser. And I hope that, like you said, you're a better man than me, Nick. You said it. You hope he gets the help that he needs. I hope that he knows he needs to get help.
Yeah.
Because watching that, I was this is not ordinary human behavior. This is not how decent members of society behave or carry themselves or speak about themselves, let alone other people. When he went into oh, I'm scum, I'm the worst, I'm fraud, I'm so glad that I'm the worst, I'm so glad I'm scum, I'm fraud in this kid. I'm dang, bro, there's a lot more that's got to get checked there than just how good you are at a video game or that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Because the way you speak about yourself and the way you view yourself is so important.
And there are players from the COD community, when you watch CDL, if you're a fan of COD, throughout the years, COD has had a couple players who have come up and almost played villain characters. You have Aches being the villain for so long. I would say
Kratos and Halo.
Kratos and Halo for sure. I can't remember the guy who with the glasses who played for Toronto last year, plays for 100 Thieves right now. I'm drawing a blank on his gamer tag, but he plays the villain. Draza on FaZe plays the villain. And I think I mean, I
Crim
as a
Six towed
WWE,
that line, bro. Crim
yeah,
towed that line his whole career as well, where it was like, you
Crim,
don't know if he's a good guy or bad guy or what the deal is.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that esports like kind of lacks. Like, in order for you to have like the protagonist, you kind of need the antagonist, right? But that didn't seem like character. Like that didn't seem like, oh, I'm acting like Illy the villain. It seemed like,
I'm crashing out.
yeah,
That's what it seemed
yeah,
like. It didn't seem
yeah.
like it didn't seem like he was in control. It seemed like, oh, I'm having a crash out of epic proportions, and I'm just gonna full send it on this.
And we've all raged at games before. Lord knows Halo can be a frustrating game sometimes, but like that was you can't
I mean, Nick,
be an outsider.
We're at home in our office in our game rooms catching strays from Illy. He's like, the whole Halo community sucks. I'm just like, oh, what did I do to deserve this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I just especially like again, especially after losing in your own game, the
yeah.
Legend, who I don't think Legend had played COD, right? Like he doesn't play COD. That was like one of his first times playing or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's probably like messed around with Formal or something here or there. Or, you know what I mean? Like they probably
Halo
like
Warzone something
Yeah,
like
exactly. But like to then go from that to like, oh, I'm gonna 1v1 stomp this ex COD pro now. Like that's I mean, that also Legend is him though. I mean, it
yeah.
wouldn't surprise me him being a good at a game where you can sprint and slide in every direction and you have constant full control over your character 360 degrees. Like, yeah, it's nuts. But I don't know, man. Like, you put some respect on the Halo players' names because we have dominated in every game that we've played. And your players have come and like Crim 6, for example, COD Pro came to Halo, got better, went back to COD, and was just even more dominant than when he first left. Like, Halo either powers you up or it sends you off like a beast at whatever you're going to be playing.
And all that time driving Warthogs, like now he's out there whipping Porsches around the track, winning trophies.
You know what I'm saying?
Right? So,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you got it all from Halo.
It's always interesting to talk about that too. Like for our complexity roster, right? Like we are, counting myself, we're 3/5 gears. We have mental, we have precision, we have me, and it's always cool to see players who are able to successfully go from one game and being really good at one game, pro level, championship winning level, to being really good at another game. Spontaneous question for you then. What game do you think has the best turnover rate for transferring players to other games? Do you think it's Halo?
Well, I definitely do think it's Halo, but I'm trying to think like of a harder answer, like rather than just like giving that answer. The thing about Halo is the fights are a little bit longer, so you have to be better at like actually tracking. You have to be better at the way you use your cover. So players that I'm trying to think of like what players have come into Halo from other games that were really dominant or that were really good players. I'm for sure gonna say Halo, but I would also say like players that are amazing at like BRs. I guess like I would say probably Apex.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bet you Monsoon could come over to Halo and do some work for sure.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I think
I could definitely see that.
Because it's both. You get like the you have to be able to play your life. Your life is so valuable because Battle Royale, you only get one shot at this. But then also in Apex, the fights are longer. Like you have shields, you have health. Apex was like the closest thing to a Halo Battle Royale, and we're still waiting for a Halo Battle Royale all these years later. But I think some players from Apex, especially the really good ones, could come over to Halo and dominate.
I could definitely see that. I'm going to be biased. I mean, maybe it's not biased because I genuinely believe it. I think Gears breeds the best gamers.
I think Gears actually breeds really well into Halo this time around because of the emphasis in Gears on your positioning, the emphasis on the walls around you and using your objects, like using the map as another weapon for you in Gears. I think like back in the day, like when I was first going to MLG events and I was watching Gears 1 and Gears 2 lands, and like I had so many good friends from the Gears scene that I would watch them compete. Like back then they just didn't have the gun skill yet. Whereas like now that like the Gears has been around long enough and people like those kids are insane when it comes to gun skill now in Gears, that you transfer that to a game like Infinite where you got to have crazy good gun skill and you got to be able to use the map as your weapon at all times. Like I feel like it's a perfect like switch over.
The reason I'm biased, or I'm I guess saying Gears I think breeds the best, is if you look at how many people have transitioned out of Gears and been competitively successful at other games. So Mental, obviously first, COD Pro, now Halo Pro, finishing top 4 at multiple events last season, expecting to win events this season. Imagine. but not. Um, you look at Precision from Gears coming over to Halo. Again, same thing. You look at Nick Merckx, who is currently like on the cusp of pro, could arguably be a pro in Apex, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
look at people don't remember High Distortion was
I
very good at
remember.
Fortnite and winning Fortnite tournaments. So
Yep.
you could say High Distortion is up there. I mean, the whole original Insanes team, like I was at the MLG DC Combine when the Insanes decided they were done with Gears because Gears got dropped from the circuit and we're going to switch to Halo Reach. They didn't place very well. I think they got like top 20 something,
Yeah,
top
in a
30 something.
combine, and it's like, bro,
Yeah.
maybe it's not going to go the way you're hoping.
Yeah, but
That's
like
what I was saying back then. I felt like they didn't have the gun skill yet. Like I like those guys were amazing at Gears, but they were the what do I call it? Like the ones who like blazed the trail first. Like they were the trendsetters early on in Gears. They were dominating at the top of the game at the time. But Halo at that point had been on the scene and been in the circuit for, almost 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to jump in that late into a game's life cycle from, Gears. Whereas like now, dude, like, so it's honestly really sad to me the fact that Gears hasn't been having events or a new game or anything like that. But like, if the Gears scene ever was revitalized like that, I guarantee you we would see some more talent coming over from there, or even we might even be losing players from here to go there because they feel like it's a good transition, you know what I mean, to hop into. Back in the day, I used to play some Gears GBs. You don't know this, Nick. I used to play some Gears 1 and 2 GBs. I had these homies and they were in a clan called Too High Gaming, dudes, THG. And you can understand what they were about, bro. Like it was really funny because I would play GBs with them online, and then I would have one of them coach my Halo teams because he would just be standing back there with his do-rag, throwing it around, like yelling at the other team. Like it was just pure hype. That's all it was. I didn't need him to know anything about the game. But anyways, I used to play Gears GBs, and they used to just make me host. They were like, you have insane aim. You can't do anything else. Just host Lance everybody. And I was like, I got you. Let's do it.
Abusing host advantage, man. That brings me back. Well, I do want to segue this because we do have one more talking point, and we're coming close to time.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see during the Kson tournament the showcase of the new mode Search and Destroy for Halo, which I don't even think Search and Destroy really does it justice as a title because it is like a Halo version of Counter-Strike or Valorant, given that there is a whole economy system.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to see a first look at that with, mixed teams of the pros who were at the Kson event. So elite players playing this new mode on new maps. I want to ask you, what are your thoughts?
It looks fun. Like I really want to play it, and I'll have some fun streaming it for myself. I do not think that it could work in its current state as like a competitive game type. Like there was like talk of like, hey, maybe it could be our new game 5. And I'm the first person that's like, we got to get Slayers the Freak out of here. Like we need Slayers out of our game. If not, game 5 only, so you earn it by winning 2 objectives apiece. That's a whole other topic. Anyways. So there was like talk of like, you never know, like maybe it could end up being in the mix. But like for me, as currently constructed, it is just it's not there. And the biggest reason why, at least in my opinion, in Halo 5, we had a game type that was called Breakout. And it was basically search first, but it was a CTF thing instead, which was cool. In Breakout in Halo 5, and we all complained about it at the time. In Breakout in Halo 5, you had reduced health. So you could 2-shot people or maybe 3-shot people instead of 5ing them. Like it was very much reduced.
So like somewhere between regular Halo and SWAT?
Exactly. It was like a balance between, I think it was like 2 headshots to kill somebody instead of 5 or whatever. And we all complained about it, like, why aren't the shields normal, blah, 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 blah. And then when I was watching the SND showcase at the Kson event, I was like, oh, I see now why they made that decision all those years ago. Because the second you have numbers in Halo with how much health people have, it's impossible. Like you're not going to see someone 1v2, 1v3, 1v4 clutch. Like clutching is like completely out of the question. And that's kind of what makes SND. Like if you look at CS, if you look at Call of Duty, like the rat play guy in a corner, they come around the corner looking the wrong way. He just double headshots 2 different dudes and then snaps on the third guy. Like you will never see that play happen in a Halo SND situation, like the 1v whatever clutches, especially at the highest levels.
Okay, so let me ask you, if they changed it to SWAT style health, no shields, would that make it better?
I don't know. Like if we went from one extreme to the other, I think it would be better, but I think it would be too jarring of a change. I think it would be too different from the rest of the game types.
To be like
From the
in the
rest to be
rotation
like
for
in the,
HCS.
you know what I mean? Yeah, to be in the
Yeah.
rotation. And like, so going back to Kratos, like this is so random. Biggest villain we've ever seen in the scene. Like that was their origin story, was that Kratos and Naded and I think Spectre and I forgot who their fourth was. L-Town, they got insane at Breakout because it was so different from the rest of the game types. They got really freaking good at that game type. And that's one of the reasons why they got second at Worlds. Second at Worlds. They were leaps ahead of, they had strats, they had breakout strategies, they had the whole nine. Whereas everybody else was just complaining that it was even a game type. And it led them to them getting second at Worlds and catching a massive bag, like a huge bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't claim to know what's best for Halo. I think we need variety. I think we need to have things that are different. I just don't know if it's going to be as exciting to watch as people would hope it would be, or as it is in other games. Like I love like round 11 S&D at a Call of Duty tournament, game 5 to me, like that's pretty much peak esports in my opinion. You know, and I love Halo. I love Apex. I love watching all kinds of esports, but like I will tune into any Call of Duty Game 5 Round 11 search game because it's like it's just you can the tension is so palpable and so sick and so unique. I would love to see that sort of tension in Halo. I just don't know how we get there in our sandbox, you know?
Yeah, I love that you called that out because I actually did go back and watch some of that. I think HCS uploaded it to their YouTube channel. If anyone missed it, you can go check it out. They uploaded that Search and Destroy showcase match, and I didn't notice it at the time, but you're 100% right. Like, you're never going to have somebody who's like in a 1v3 and you still have a glimmer of hope. Like, it's over. If it's a 1v3, it's over. And that's one of the issues, like, in general, is like you can't, even if you outplay them mechanically, like, it's just too hard with the current health system to really do more than just hope that they royally mess up.
Well, all you have to do is hold hands. You hold hands when you have numbers, and you're going to win no matter what.
Exactly. And I think, like, unless they have, like, a sniper or something, because there is, like, the econ thing to think about. But, like, I agree with you. I think, like, if they change the health system in some way to put a little bit higher risk, higher reward on, like, whether you peak, like, you know, that's one of the things that's crazy about Valorant. Like, you can wide swing a corner, there's 3 people there, but you catch them off guard and you one tap all 3 of them. Like, then you're praised as a god because your aim is crazy, it looks insane, you clutch a 1v3. Like, you're not going to have that with Halo S&D unless the health system gets changed. So I think that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that, honestly, when I was watching it back. All I could think about is what the heck happened to Extraction? Because I like that mode.
It disappeared and no one said anything about it. That was what made it so weird. Like, it wasn't until recently. I think it might have even been when I was watching the S&D mode where he pulled it out and was extracting. I was like, wait a second. We had Extraction.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it went. And I didn't hear anything when it went. And nobody noticed that it went. And it was just gone. You know what I mean?
Bro,
like,
Extraction came out and I was so excited because they were telling us it was going to be part of the map rotation. And I'm like, in custom games, going through each map that had Extraction on it, all of this, like the plant locations to figure out, like, okay, what are the weird spots that you can plant that's going to give you good lines of sight from across the map. So, like, if we just wanted to get a sneaky plant in and then just hold the far side of the map, what are they going to do about it? Like,
yeah,
I was excited to be a nerd for that mode, and there was definitely bugs with it. Like, you could plant, like, in weird elevated spots. You could plant the bomb so that it couldn't be
over the doorway on Livefire. I just remembered it now.
Yeah,
I just remembered it now.
Bro, there was one.
That's why that game type's gone.
In Recharge, there was a hill or like a location like where Sneaky is. And you could plant it like on the paneling of Sneaky, like those little spots where you can kind of crouch up and like, you could plant it up there and make it undifusable. So it's like, dude, if they fix those, I feel like it would have been a great mode.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how that just like that blind spot in my mind just disappeared. That like just blanked out that was ever a thing. But yeah, I just had flashbacks to like pushing that base on Livefire and having the bomb be above the door and being like, well, this freaking sucks, you know what I mean? Or I can't jump off my teammates' heads because we just phase through each other because it's infinite. Like, we can't. Like, what are we doing? But yeah, I would love to see an S&D style, and I've said it for a long time. Like, hey, like lives based game type in Halo would be sick. Like
Yeah.
a no respawn. But I would want to test it. Maybe try the breakout. I don't know. People are so triggered by even the word breakout as it is, but like where it was like a 2 headshot kill instead of a 5. You know what I mean? It's not quite SWAT, but it's like maybe it's 3 headshots. You know, maybe some situation where like there is counterplay. Because like granted, a 1v2 or a 1v3 in like traditional Call of Duty or Counter-Strike or Valorant is going to be so hard, but it's still possible. Whereas like right now, I would say it's damn near impossible in Halo. I think it's like an impossibility to like see a clutch like that outside of me smurfing in diamond lobbies. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Hey, don't throw hate at my people, okay? And I would like to see. I've been saying this since Halo Infinite came out. I want to see Uplink from COD come to Halo. I feel like that mode with Halo Infinite's movement would be so like playing basketball in Halo. Like that would be so sick.
That game type was nuts. I just remember formal like wall running with the ball, like or like
that's what I'm saying.
They would drop outside the map and run around on the outside of the map with the ball, like wall running. Hop back. Like the plays were insane, dude.
Picture like, was there a repulse on Bazaar? I'm like drawing a blank. I think there was, right? Or there was a grapple.
There was a grapple for sure. There was OS. I don't think there was a repulse. No.
But like a picture a map with like a repulse, and it's like the clock is ticking down like 5, 4, and somebody grabs a new ball, throws it up, and repulses it, and it soars across the map and sinks like a half court shot, last minute game winning buzzer beater. That would be the most hype thing we've seen in Halo in a very long time.
Well, then too, you would have people like playing roles. Like you'd have a guy that's like, I got to play defense in my base to block these shots because like if repulse is coming up, we know the timing. If they get repulse bomb, we know they can cap from range. I got to play more back and like be ready to catch this thing out of the air. Like I think it'd be interesting. I'd be down to try it. Then again, neither of us compete on the sticks anymore, so we're down to watch people do crazy things. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm down to watch you guys play game types you would never otherwise want to because I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it doesn't show up in matchmaking if I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah. I agree. I do think variety is needed. I am happy with where the map and game type pool is right now. Outside of the fact that I still think it's a little fat, I think we could get rid of Forbidden now. Like now that I've played it enough, Forbidden and Fortress. I mean, Forbidden and Fortress has been the opposite for me. Forbidden at first, I didn't like it. I grew to love it. I love Forbidden CTF now. Fortress, I liked off the rip. I hate that map now. Like all the game types on it. Everything on that map sucks. Like we have 20 game types. We don't need it, but I would love to see some more color in terms of like the game types themselves. Like we talked about, they're bringing in bomb. They're trying to do that. Cool. Like if we can get this S&D mode to a place where it really is something refreshing and it adds something to the series and doesn't take away, sick. Because at the moment, like we build really good momentum in a lot of these series, and then Fortress comes up, and for me as a viewer, instantly I'm just like, all right, like the energy just like crashes. You know what I mean? So I would love to see. Like we're so close to having like the perfect Halo Infinite game type map rotation, in my opinion. Would love to see a couple things switched up. And Bazaar, like I wouldn't mind seeing Bazaar back now that we have DM. Like we never saw it with DMR. Like snipe on it, make it CTF. Like that would be sick. Like
Bazaar was good.
You know, yeah,
I liked Bazaar.
One thing that sucked about Bazaar was the spike grenades and the shocks. Like you know, like that. Like, but I don't mind Bazaar one bit, especially for CTF. I thought it was a fun CTF map. Like, so I you know, there's still some tweaking to be made, but I am overall, I would say, pretty happy with where Infinite is, and I'm excited to watch this season.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm excited to compete this season.
You have to. You're doing the most intense watching out of all of us.
I would love if there was a pick ban system or a veto system, because there are 20 maps modes for the HCS circuit right now. But that's a wish list item I don't foresee coming to fruition anytime soon.
Well, it's like you said, if you're not on the craziest scrim regiment ever, you could land a series where you have all game types you suck at.
Yeah.
You could land in a best of 5 or all 5 game types for your weak game types because you don't scrim 24/7, 365, you know? So.
Well, I'm pretty sure grand finals, let me double check this. Yeah, so grand finals of the Kaysan tournament, there was 2 origins. There was an origin flag and a game 7 origin slayer. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Why does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which like and Shopify won both, and Optic is like, I've seen time and time again, like they're a really solid origin team. I mean, origin is very snowbally.
Optic is a good origin team, but I will say Frosty's the best origin player in the game right now, and it's not close.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he's like his stats on Origin are ridiculous, and he was a menace on Halo 5. And when you watch the plays that he makes in that tournament on Origin, he has like the most high every life he's doing something that's like max impact. You're just like, well, he just completely chalked the entire other team's play with what he just did right there. So yeah, he's ridiculous.
Well, we'll see if that continues into the season. I think that's all of our talking points, and we're at time. So, any closing thoughts, closing statements before we wrap this up?
Closing thoughts. Shout out to FaZe for a great event, and shout out to them for not inviting us. We'll remember that when we match you in Arlington.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than that, really appreciate everyone who's been supporting the show. We've been getting so much love on Twitter and on here, and it's really fun to do this every single week for you guys. So obviously you can find me, Hunter JJX. I'm live on my channel right now, and we'll be after this, just grinding away. It's April 1st. Don't fall for any stupid April Fool's jokes. You know what I mean? I saw like LeBron James retire. I saw all kinds of stuff today, but Skyway joining Optic. Like, come on, guys! It's April 1st. Nobody panic. Don't fall for any dumb jokes. Really looking forward to Arlington. Like, that's the clock. That the timer is on now. So yeah, you can find me on TikTok. Find me on Twitch. I'm vibing every day. Also, every Tuesday we're here opening break. Don't miss these episodes. We're having a blast making them.
Yeah. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central, we will be here. That's it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, go check out Hunter's stream after we wrap up here, and hopefully we see you all back next Tuesday for another opening break. In the meantime, stay safe out there.
Peace, guys.